Hi, my name is Pascal Rion. I'm a pilot on the St. Lawrence River in Quebec City, Canada. For the past 3,000 years, starting with the Phoenicians, navigators have been keeping track of their position on paper chart. Famous navigators as Magellan and Christopher Columbus, on top of being captains, were also hydrographers, drawing charts to help the future navigator in their quest. It started with charts drawn by hand, looking more like piece of art. Then it switched with National Hydrographic Office making paper charts, where Canada was one of the nicest in the whole world. Then came technology, so the charts take a turn toward the electronic navigation, starting with the ENCs and then with the S-57. In the fall of 2020, CHS approached the industry to develop a new norm in the industry, the S-102. WSP, the Lower St. Lawrence Pilot Corporation, MSRC, and CIQ were awarded a contract to implement the new bathymetry, surface current, and tidal standards by CHS. So what is 1S100? Well, it's to bring more flexibility in displaying various products on the electronic chart. It's to bring non-IHO stakeholders to maximize their use of the hydrographic data for their particular purpose. So what is the S-100 world? Well, it's to bring all information as layers on top of the electronic chart that we carry on board the ship. We find different levels as the S-101 being the normal chart, S-102 being the high-density bathymetry, S-104 tidal information, S-111 the currents. We also have notice to mariner, weather information, traffic, and plenty different things as you can see on this graphic. The primary purpose of the bathymetric surface product is to provide high-resolution bathymetry in a gridded form as a supplementary layer of an S-101 on the EGDIS on board the ship or the PPU for the pilots. S-100 products, they come as layers, so we can switch them on or off as we need. What's a PPU? It's a unit that I carry on board the ship with me, called the Pilot Portable Unit. So I connect via a device to the AIS plug on board the ship, so I can retrieve some information from the ship's equipment. The PPU I use is with an iPad and an application called CIQ. I then connect via a device to the AIS plug on board the ship to retrieve some information. Also from the web, before joining the ship, I can get all the updates for the chart and the software. It's important to mention that the PPU is a supplement to the ship's own equipment. We still use the radar and some of the equipment on board the ship, but we also carry our own electronic chart on board, so we have more knowledge of that equipment. So what's the goal of the S-102? Well, it's to support safe passage, precise navigation, berthing, and route planning for the navigator and the pilot. With the use of high-resolution bathymetry, we can adapt the safety contour to each vessel on the electronic chart. Having high-resolution bathymetry can help to improve the traffic fluidity. It can also help to adapt the transit of deep draft vessel and large vessel through narrow area, because then we know what's exactly under the ship. Another point of the high-resolution bathymetry is to have up-to-date shoals coming to the user in a very short time, so we can adapt our pilotage with exactly what's underneath the vessel. S-102 is going to be a grid-based coverage. What does that mean is that all the areas are separate in different cells, which make it a lot easier for the hydrographer to update. In Canada, the S-102 product is going to be available in 3 different resolutions. That is going to be sent to the user via the web. So before coming on board, the user can register which area you want to receive and download it from the internet, coming on board the ship with up-to-date information. The S-102 product can already be downloaded via the web, logging on the website of some provider, making a basket, and just registering your products. What does high-resolution bathymetry look like? Well, it's a lot of information. Multibeam sonar can record 28.8 million depth every hour, so that makes 345.6 million depth per day, which is way too much clutter on the chart, as you can see on the image. For that reason, we had to develop one function called scaling, or scale minimum, which removes a lot of the clutter and keep the important depth on the chart. Normal ENC or S57 look like that. If we switch on the layer of S-102, it will look like this. You can also notice the cells over the chart, which are the area that are the grid-based coverage. S-102 comes in two different presentation modes. Raster mode, not to be confused with the old raster, which was only a scanned copy of the paper chart put on the electronic chart, but the new raster is like a 3D visual. We can add the option of sun illumination, which makes it look really nice to the navigator. The second presentation mode is the vector mode, which look like what we are used to with the S57, but add the high-resolution bathymetry on top of it, which allow the user to set the preference for the safety contour. When we start the project using the IHO norms, the raster mode was looking like that. As you can see, it's not really user-friendly, it's quite aggressive, and a lot of information for the navigator is also missing. So we then had to adapt it. First of all, changing the colors, and then putting on top of the S-102 all the mariner's tool, like buoys, soundings, cables, bridge, and leading lights. Raster mode can be used with two different versions. The flat mode, which looks like that, or the 3D mode with sun illumination, which look a lot cooler. This image shows you a nice example of the sun illuminator. I want to point your attention to that little gray zone under the bridge. That's kind of a hole in the data, so that's why we see underneath the normal S57. Remember, S100 products are layered based, so they can be switched on or off, and they are added on top of each other. High resolution bathymetry bring us a lot more details of what's laid on the bottom of the sea. As you can see on this slide, there's a wreck over there, the MS Lady Grey, which was an icebreaker assisting Quebec ferries in 1955 before she sank there, which I think is pretty cool to look at. On the next image, you can see more examples of high-definition bathymetry along docks, which, when we know the exact depth that we have on the keel, will allow the ship to maximize their draft and their time alongside the berth. Bringing more details on the chart brought some challenge to the developer. We had to adapt the visual and develop some new tools to make it user-friendly. As you can see on this chart, many areas don't have any information in high definition. So we had to find a way to smooth the contours, adapt the contours, and also remove those zones that don't have the coverage that we want. As you can see on this next image, the lines of sounding are all shown on the chart, which is not very nice. So we've developed a tool to remove those lines, which make it also more user-friendly. Another challenge that we faced was that many areas don't have soundings or high-resolution sounding. On this image, you can see just behind the buoys what I mean. And you can notice underneath the layer that you can see also the old S57. So how can we solve that? Well, we need to send the sonar ship back there to make some high-definition soundings. When I start working with the raster mode, I realized that I could not see the depth. And as a pilot, I want to know what the depths are for a contingency plan, or to know, can I go there? Not only the colors. So CIQ developed a depth query cursor, So when you click on the chart, it will give you the depth underneath the cursor and also the minimum depth in a certain radius, as you can see on this video, which is a pretty cool feature. On this video, you can also notice the safety contours that are now shown on the raster mode. So the image, on top of having the 3D, look more and more like a chart that we are used to. With the S-57, we are used to static colors on the chart. So 5, 10, more than 10 meters, two different types of blue and white. The great thing about high-resolution bathymetry is that the safety contour will adapt to the ship's draft plus an underkill clearance defined by the user. Personally, I like to work with percentage. So like 10%, if I have a draft of 10 meters, it will add 1 meter safety clearance to all the depth for the safety contour. So, I have to show you. Here, with a draft of 5 meters, you can see that the area where I can navigate is fairly wide. If I go to 6 meters, it's getting a little bit more or less. 8 meters, oh, we can see the difference. 8.5 meter draft, even more difference. 15 meter draft. Oh, you're going to say, Pascal, you have a problem you cannot go through. That's true. But one advantage that we have on the St. Lawrence River is that we have tides up to 5-6 meters, even more in some area. CIQ have the option using tidal station along the St. Lawrence River, transmitting via the web the water level to adjust the depth with dynamic tidal adjustment. So as you can see on this image, if I add 5 meter tide, I can then go through the narrow channel with my 15 meter ship draft. So what did we do during the S-102 project? Well, first it was to adapt CIQ to S-102 standard, developing various tools to make the screen look more user-friendly and easier to use for the navigators. How did we do that? Well, with 3 pilots, we did more than 500 hours of sea trials, going on board various types of ship, different dimension, different draft, using uncontrolled environment and different equipment all the time. And those tests are still going on, even if the project is nearing the end. We've developed the tools for precise mariner contour, the interpolation and the smoothing. We've adapted the scanning option to make the chart look good. We had some challenge regarding the safety contour using the high-density bathymetry and especially the unsurveyed area, which is the challenge for the national authorities to get in the next few years. Also, for the navigator, how to keep track of change. Well, CIQ developed a tool called heat map. So the navigator, or the pilot in my case, before going on the ship at home, download the updates and then tell CIQ, okay, tell me what did change in the last 15, 30 days or even more. So using a scale of colors, it will tell me if it changed drastically or only by a small number. During the project, we did adapt the 2 different modes. Vector mode was developed by CIQ because as navigator, we have a tendency to keep our old habit, so it was easier for us to adapt. And also raster mode, where we adapt all the colors, we've added the mariner's tools on top of the image, and also now safety contour, the depth query cursor, which is a fantastic tool to be able to ask the chart what's the depth underneath. Also, working with Caris, Primar, they developed their platform to make sure that we can have access via the web to the different chart and the updates for those charts. So what's next? Well, we have to continue the fine-tuning of the screen display for the contours, the unsurveyed area, also the fluidity between the scale to make it more navigators friendly. National authorities have to keep soundings to provide more products with high definition bathymetry. We want to make sure that the product is navigator friendly, the colors, the information, the age of the data, also the night mode, because right now, unfortunately, the raster mode is not usable at night. Well, there's no sun, so I guess it makes sense. We are going to keep working on the heat map to make sure that we provide the navigator with a nice tool to know which change happened when he was away from the ship. Now the S-102 project is nearing the end. Data is soon going to be available for all navigators, and most of the manufacturers are adapting their egg discs to be able to display S-100 products. For us, the next step is to start working on the S-104 and S-111 layers, the water level and the surface currents, which we hope are going to be available soon. Obviously, we also have to work on the integration of all the S-100 layers to egg disk and PPU. So I thank you for your attention. I hope you found that video interesting. Have a nice day.